Have you ever felt like your life was just property? Like your value was determined by how much someone could profit from you? I know that feeling. I know what it's like to see the man who promised to honor you look at your daughter and see only a bargaining chip. My name is Estelle, and this isn't just a story about running away. It's about reclaiming what is ours by divine right, freedom. Have you ever faced a lie so big it threatened to swallow your entire lineage? I'm Estelle, and my life was the definition of that lie. I was born in low country South Carolina, where the Spanish moss hides secrets, and the air is heavy with history, and sometimes with generational curses. I saw the man I vowed to honor, Jerome, look at our child, Ruth, and see not a daughter, but an asset, a bargaining chip. This isn't just a story about domestic violence. It's about the tyranny that tries to tell a black woman her body and her future are negotiable. Jerome's final act of cruelty was a cold, calculated transaction. He planned to trade my daughter for land, to consolidate his own power and order. The wedding dress was already purchased. The date was set. My breaking point was a moment of unspeakable grief. I had to bury my youngest child, Celeste, with my bare hands. But it was in that grave, with the low country dirt under my nails, that I made a fierce vow. I swore that no other child of mine would be buried alive, not under the earth, and certainly not under the weight of a forced marriage. That vow became my weapon. I realized my struggle was bigger than Jerome. It was a spiritual war against the lie that my Grandma May's legacy of resilience could be erased. I know this pain is familiar. I know you may feel trapped by rejection, silence, or systemic violence. But I promise you, there is a breakthrough. My escape was not an act of weakness. It was an act of fury, fueled by faith. I will tell you exactly what Jerome did, the chilling words he spoke, and how God used my deepest pain to give me the strategy to run and reclaim our autonomy. Do not leave. Your freedom is tied to this truth. Subscribe to this channel now and leave an amen if you're ready to break the curse. Let's claim our victory together. I was born in the heart of low country South Carolina, a beautiful place, but where old traditions cling to your soul like Spanish moss. To the community, we were respectable, but to me and my daughters, we were prisoners of a man who turned our home into a prison of violence and tyranny. I saw the worst of human cruelty. I saw my grief dismissed. I saw poverty crush us. But nothing was as devastating as the day my husband, Jerome, looked at my daughter, Ruth, and made the cold calculation. Where I saw a little girl, he saw a transaction. He was ready to trade my daughter for land. I know this testimony is painful. I know it touches on deep wounds that many of us carry. The legacy of rejection, the silent violence, the feeling of not being heard. But I promise you, there is a breakthrough. There is a greater power that breaks every chain. Please, don't leave. Every minute of this video is a prayer. It is a fight. And before we continue, I ask you, as your sister, subscribe to this channel right now. This is our space for healing and victory. Leave an amen in the comments if you are ready to hear the truth that set me free. Violence isn't always the fist. Most of the time, it's the word. It's the silence. I married Jerome believing in the dream. I wanted the strong, safe home that Grandma May always prayed I would have. But marriage for him was ownership. I was what he said I was. And my daughters, they were extensions of his will. When Celeste, my youngest, was born sickly, he showed me who he really was. He refused to touch her. I won't feed problems, he said, while she burned with fever. In that moment, I knew love was weakness in his house. Money, status, and the deal were his religion. And it was from that point that he began to see Ruth. Low country has its rules, and Jerome played by them. He would sit at the table, peeling fruit with a precision that terrified me, and then he would speak. The Sanders have land down by the river. Their son needs a wife to inherit. Ruth is going to be the bridge. I remember screaming, "She's just a child. What are we doing?" But Jerome had the silent backing of the community and the weight of tradition. His look wasn't that of a father. It was that of a cattle trader. He was ready to exchange my daughter's soul for an extra piece of land. To him, it was an investment. To me, it was slavery wearing a wedding dress. I looked at Ruth. She didn't cry anymore. She shrunk away. She became the shadow. In that moment, I knew the house was no longer a home. It was a grave. Despair smells of gunpowder and whiskey, and our house was always full of both. I spent weeks fighting for Celeste's life. I prayed with Grandma May's Bible in my hand, but the heavens seemed silent. I thought, God, where is the strength? Where is the power that Grandma May said I would have? Jerome's violence escalated. It wasn't just against me. It was against the air we breathed. Poverty gnawed at us. I scrubbed, sewed, begged for crumbs of work. But every penny I brought in, Jerome spent, returning more cruel and more drunk. Then came the night. Celeste's fever subsided, and for a second, hope lifted me. But when I held her, she was too late. The fire hadn't gone out. She was gone. I didn't scream. The scream was trapped in my throat. And that's when Jerome gave me the death sentence. He stood in the doorway, expressionless. At least that's one less mouth to feed. And he turned away. In that instant, the pain was so great that there was no room left for fear. The pain gave me a brutal focus. I did what had to be done. I buried her alone, with my bare hands. I felt the cold earth under my fingernails, the weight of that tiny body, Jerome's silence, the sight of Ruth shrinking in the corner. In that grave, I made a vow. I swore, with the low country dirt staining my hands, that no other daughter of mine would be buried alive. That promise was the first brick of my liberation. Grief gave me the necessary fury to act. Ruth's wedding was scheduled in 2 weeks. The wedding dress hanging in the closet was our shroud. The fear was still there, but now it was mixed with the fury of a mother who had nothing left to lose. Opportunity came on a moonless night. Jerome was passed out, drowned in whiskey. The air was thick with the smell of alcohol. I grabbed Ruth's hand, her eyes full of terror, but also silent trust. She trusted me to lead her out. Now, Ruth, it's now or never, I whispered. We left. We took nothing but a handful of old clothes, a crust of bread, and Grandma May's Bible. Every creaking floorboard was a gunshot. I prayed silently. Lord, cover us. Protect us from persecution. Be the light in our escape. Tradition and social scandal would pursue us. People would say, she dishonored her husband, broke the family. She's a foolish woman. But to me, it was the breaking of tyranny. We ran towards Dr. Henry's house. I had no plan B. My only plan was that he was not Jerome. We arrived before dawn. We knocked. Silence. We knocked again. And when he opened the door, he looked at us, not as property, not as commodity, but as human beings. Come in. Here, you are safe. In that moment, I felt the chains fall. Not my husband's chains, but the ones on my soul. Ruth collapsed in the corner, and for the first time, she slept without fear. I took a deep breath, knowing the price of escape was life, but the price of staying was the soul. The faith that Grandma May taught me, which was buried under years of abuse, finally manifested. The prayer that night was the wall of fire that separated us from our past. If you made it this far, it's because this story touched something deep inside you. You saw the violence, the abuse, the pain of a mother's heart, the pain of having her daughter traded for land. But you also saw the promise. I, Estelle, was hunted, criticized, and judged for dishonoring my marriage. But I tell you, the only honor that mattered was the honor of God over my daughter's life. We fought poverty with dignity. I worked, Ruth worked. Every coin tasted of hope. And it was on this path of reconstruction that Joseph, a good and honest man, appeared. He didn't see Ruth as property. He saw her as a soul. And when he asked for her hand in marriage, I looked into my daughter's eyes. I said, "You decide, only if your heart says yes." Her choice was our victory. Their marriage, built on love and truth, was proof that God turns mourning into dancing and shame into honor. I discovered that it's not our human strength that sustains us. It's the grace and mercy of God. He reached the broken black woman, crushed by the low country, and gave me a new story. I speak directly to you now, my sister. It doesn't matter the weight you carry. It doesn't matter if you feel traded, used, or wounded by the tyranny of a relationship. The enemy tried to bury me, but he only planted a seed of deliverance. You have a choice to make right now. You can continue to carry the burden alone, or you can surrender that pain to Him. I invite you at this moment to make the choice that changed my eternity. Say to Him out loud, "Jesus, I surrender. Break the chains that bind me. Write a new story for me." This simple act of surrender has the power to break the tyranny in your life. Don't wait. Don't doubt. Share this video so other women know that escape is possible. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. This is not just a story. It's a reminder that your deliverance is only a prayer away. Your new story begins today.